Good morning, self lovers. Welcome back to the Self Love Show. I'm your co host, Dawn Light. And thank you for tuning in to our beautiful show. It's been over 3 years. Trish and I have been doing this. Trish is on a plane right now, so she couldn't make it today. But I'm so happy. We have a beautiful guest to introduce in 1 minute. And just for our viewers that are new, in case you don't know, we are on all the platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, pretty much everywhere. And so it's our message to get self love out into the world and how important it is to source ourself, right? And source our connection to God. And, everyone's spiritual curriculum is so vastly unique on Earth School. And it's really important to support one another in greater self love, greater capacity to hold the frequency of love in our lives and in our families and in our relationships. And so we do this as a loving offering to you. And so it means the world to us to like, share, and subscribe so that we get that message out, because it's supporting everyone's spiritual curriculum. And that's our mission and our purpose. So thank you for hearing that. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Sara, which is so exciting. Sara is a beautiful woman and mother of two young ones right now, which is really, really beautiful. So our topic today is astrology for radical self-acceptance. Yes, with Sara Powers. And so meditating on the wisdom in our natural astrology charts, we can cultivate self-acceptance and self-love, celebrating our unique expression and gaining greater self-compassion as we view the larger cycles of our lives. With the Gemini Sun, Aries Moon, and Cancer rising, Sara has an insatiable curiosity, a thirst for adventure, and a tender for anything that might be considered cuddly. They are a consulting astrologer and intuitive business coach who wants to expand their healing impact by helping others healers step into courageous leadership and launch their sacred businesses. They recently began their journey as a parent. Sara and one of their parenting partners gave birth to babies just 2 months apart, so they are essentially raising twins. Being a business owner and raising two little ones, they lean on support from their community, both here and on Earth, and a cosmic community of spiritual allies. So, wow, Sara, that is such a profound message, and congratulations on your two sweet twin babies
Yeah,
almost.
yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me here. This is such a beautiful community. I love your mission, what you're doing here. And I'm just happy to be a part of it, to have a little time to be with other grown-ups for this next hour before I come back to the babies. And just really happy to
Beautiful.
be here.
Beautiful. So I just love your topic so much, like radical self-acceptance through the astrology chart. So let's dive into, what do you mean by that? And tell us more. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love what you were saying about how we're all here. We have each have our individual spiritual curriculum, right? And so when we're in the midst of maybe one of those really hard lessons, it can be difficult to accept what is happening. We can, turn against ourselves in those moments at times and question, be filled with self-doubt and so this radical self-acceptance is um bringing the light of awareness to um why we're here, and having this conversation with spirit as you're moving through the different phases of your life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really beautiful, beautifully said, like help people navigate while they're moving through a difficult spot, right? That's really key. Because
Mm.
how many of us have gone through difficult spots? I have.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm currently going through a difficult spot, just to announce that and be vulnerable, like, and
Yeah.
it's okay, but I have the wisdom to know that this is for me. And
Mhm.
so that's the gift in it, right? Just to lean back into that and know that it's working out for me, even if it looks messy.
Mhm.
And so I love I've used my birth chart for many, many, many years. And I love that you use this as the lens of to see someone's life through, right? And like tell us a little bit about how you navigate helping someone in their business with a birth chart. Like, I'm so curious to hear, like, and how you help someone take radical self-acceptance for what they're going through and how it
Right.
all that's such magic, right? Of how it all is blended together.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I was, thinking I would kind of go back a little bit, back to my pre-business days and growing up and kind of how I was able to integrate some of the challenges I went through in life, to get to where I am in my business and, um, how astrology helped me really, yeah, integrate all of those lessons. Um, yeah, so I have this Gemini Sun in the 12th house. And so I'll kind of try and break down some of these terms. I know not everyone is familiar with astrology, but
Mhm.
so the 12th house is this place in our chart where things are really deeply unconscious and can be hidden from our view. And so if you have one of your what's called your luminaries there, so the sun or the moon, um, this light that you're here to shine can sometimes be hidden from yourself. Um,
Mhm.
and so, I had this Gemini sun, and the Gemini archetype really wants to express, this connectivity and to be always like connecting ideas and connecting with other people and really like using its voice. Um, and so it was in this place that was hidden from what I could see. So I couldn't really see that in myself. And so I grew up with really intense social anxiety. So I had this deep longing to like make friends and to just be free in my speech and my voice. And it felt really locked down. Um, and then that kind of the 12th house, so let's each of the houses, have different significations, different symbology, and so the 12th house can also be a place of addiction, of, mental health issues, um, and so because I was trying to access this light in me, and it was hidden from me, in a place that was very unconscious, and, so I turned to alcohol and started abusing
Mhm.
alcohol as a way to unlock it, to go into that unconscious place. I would actually black out, and, that was how I was able to, like, release my voice and connect with people. Um, and so there's, each placement in our astrology has, potential for our soul's growth, and it can also become distorted. Um, and you can kind of cycle through those two ends of the spectrum. And the gifts in the 12th house are it's also a place where you can really connect with spirit and connect to ancestors. And so I kind of went into the underworld to find that light to come back. So I went through this period of my life where I was abusing alcohol in order to release that light. Um, and, caused me and those around me a lot of pain. And I was able to pull myself out of it by connecting to spirit in different ways by, Gemini, another longing of the archetype of Gemini is to learn, and so I would, like, devour all of these spiritual books and
Mhm.
let those ideas kind of just, like, mix around in my dream life and in my, unconscious mind, and they began to start to surface, um, and I started doing, like, uh, stream of consciousness writing. I don't know if you've heard of the artist way. That was I went through that program where you did the morning pages every day and just stream of consciousness um, write for 3 pages, and so that was a way for me also to, like, pull out these beliefs and these thoughts that were really, running the show beneath my awareness, and so, I was able to pull myself out of that, and I've been sober for almost 5 years now.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and here I am talking to you, talking in front of a live audience, like, 10 years ago, there's no way I would have had that access to that light, and, like, even now, it's like, I'm trying to find the words, and they're there, and I just kinda have to, like, keep flowing with it until they come out and just accept that,
Mhm.
I know I have what I wanna say inside of me, and I just kinda have to keep going until it gets
Mm,
out.
beautiful. What
Yes.
a beautiful living example.
What's
Oh, go
that?
ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, that's a bit of my backstory of how astrology has, allowed me some of that radical self-acceptance because,
Mhm.
you know, obviously going through that, there were times when I felt really ashamed of myself, and now I'm, like, looking at my astrology chart and seeing that just seeing the story behind it and some of the reasoning behind it on a more spiritual level, and just sending compassion to that part of myself and being able to feel proud of myself for, like, coming out of that. That
Mm.
makes sense.
Gorgeous. Yeah, I really acknowledge you because that's a very, dark night of the soul moment, right?
Mhm,
Navigating. I know many people that have navigated a really intense, and especially with the 12th house where addiction can be,
mhm,
it's very common, like, to have that story in a way of like, alcohol is, but
mm,
it sounds like you navigated it with grace. You allowed spirit to support you, and you kept reaching for the light. You kept reaching for, I know there's more for me here, except and then to accept this as my end all be all here. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah. And it's fascinating when we go through these. I mean, I've had my own dark night of the soul journey. I've been through the depths of hell, abuse survivor, like, I've been through it, and I've
mm,
had to reach for those same, that's really what led me here too, is to keep seeking the light within, keep seeking the truth and the real answers around why patterns exist and why they are the way they are. And I just never settled with, like, just accepting that my life would be terrible, that I knew there was more for me, and
mm,
I just kept holding that intention inside even though it didn't seem like it would ever work out sometimes.
mhm,
And it was a long, long, long searching period for
right,
me.
yeah,
Long, long, long searching period for
mhm,
searching within and reading, workshops, you name it, books, like, really doing my work, inner work and practices.
mhm,
And so I
absolutely,
get what you're saying about
yeah,
that experience, and I'm so happy to be here on the other side with you, celebrating
right,
that you're 5 years sober and that you have a
yeah,
beautiful family, and,
yeah,
and that astrology has helped you birth a business.
mhm, yeah,
How cool is that?
yeah.
That's such a gift.
Yeah, yeah, and, one of the things that I love about astrology too, it really supports this kinda spiralic growth pattern, and so it's like both you and I'm sure many or all in our audience has, gone through these challenges in our lives and if you're here, you've probably had that experience of reaching out for to spirit to kind of pull you through. Um, and then you get to the other side, and here we are. And now it's like time to go again we're going through a cycle again, and it's not the same as the last one. We've come up a level, but there's still going to be like these challenges, and you'll still see those patterns resurface, but in a new way. And so I feel like astrology can also be really helpful in accepting where you are on that journey. It's like, okay, maybe this is a time where I need to start letting go of some of these old beliefs, or maybe I'm really starting fresh here. So the astrology chart can continue to evolve throughout our lives with us.
Mm, interesting. So you see that even though the birth chart stays the same, when you look at the imprint of it, it can show you different things based on the age you're at and the stage you're in, is what I'm hearing you say? Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the things I love about astrology so much that does feed that Gemini part of me, is like, yeah, you can just keep going layer after layer. There's so many different techniques that you can pull in to see it from a new angle.
Mm,
But, yeah, so your birth chart is there. It's like your blueprint for life, and then as we move through space and time, um, those important points in your chart will get triggered at certain times in
mhm.
your life, and
Definitely.
yeah, call you to a new direction to grow in a certain way or
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So how does one, like, when you're working with someone with their birth chart, I'm just so curious to, like, how does that relate to their business? Do you see their business in their birth chart? Is that does your eye see that stuff? And, like, I'm so curious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there's definitely certain parts that you can read in the chart that are pointing to like this is how this person can really shine in their business or what it is the work that they're doing in the world, their sacred work. It
Mhm,
also points to how we attract in money, how we attract the people that we are meant to work with. Um, and yeah, it just really points to how to work with your working your business in a way that feels right with you, aligns with you. Um, because there's many different ways that we can create a business and it can be really frustrating when you're trying to like fit this specific strategy or mold and it's not working for you and so you think oh I should just give up like oh I need to like get on Instagram live every day or something and maybe that's just not the thing for you. Maybe you're
mhm,
more suited to really getting deep into some writing projects and starting your blog or whatever the case may be.
mhm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know you gave me your chart, so we could chat about your chart a little bit if you
Sure.
want.
Yeah.
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 I have Aries rising, you have Aries moon, so we have like there's a
Yes.
like that when I know that about astrology, like when your sun is the same as the ascendant, the other person's ascendant, there can be a magical kismet connection, so it's like, oh, we both
Yeah.
have Aries in our main components.
Yeah, and I have noticed that, like, clients coming in where we have this synastry in our chart. So that's really interesting to see too, people that I yeah, collaborate with.
I'm fascinated. I've been fascinated by astrology my whole life.
Yeah,
I mean, I could have become an astrologer, but it was just like, I just felt led to do what I do. But
right.
I so dabble and listen, and I listen to a woman named Molly McCord all the time. I don't
Oh,
know if you know
yeah.
who she. So I listen to her all the time, and my
Nice.
nephew, my brother's oldest boy is actually loves astrology and really into it, and so we geek out and have like lots of long conversations about all kinds of things.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
so fun to geek out about astrology. Yeah. Yeah, so you have an Aries rising, um, and with Chiron very close to the ascendant. And then you have a lot in your 10th house going on, which really points to you having a lot of focus in your career as because yeah, one of the other things that I realized as part of like bringing self-acceptance to ourselves through the chart, it's like I had made all these assumptions that everybody thinks the way that I do, that like values the same things that I do. And then
Not everybody
realizing that
does.
that's not the case, and
Yeah.
and it's really shows itself in the chart too, and, you know, like, I am really driven to create my own I have Aries in the 10th house in the on the midheaven, and so I'm really driven to step into leadership and to take this path of entrepreneurship, um and, even as I'm raising 2 babies, it's like I still have this drive to move towards that
Mhm.
where, a lot of people that's wouldn't be a drive
Would
for them, and, a lot of people aren't interested in starting their own business. Um, but for you, you have a lot of energy in the 10th house. You have, the sun, the midheaven, Mercury, and Venus all in the 10th house, and they're all opposing, Saturn in the 4th house. Um, yeah, and just like all of this energy is like pointing to the 10th house for you. So your your spiritual calling is like really being of service to a larger audience, and you're really supported to have sweetness in that area. You're supported to, like, be able to communicate what you are here to share with the world. Yeah, and there's also just, like, a lot of longevity for you here being that Capricorn, um, thinking about what kind of legacy you wanna leave in the world, and being super committed to showing up to your audience, like, just the fact that you've had this show going week after week with consistency for the past 3 years, and I imagine that you will keep it going for many years to come is what if not an evolution of something like this, but just
Mhm.
continuing to show up for your people in this way. So not just like
Mhm.
the people in your immediate bubble, but the larger audience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it is in my chart that way, that I need to be in that spotlight in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, and not everybody will have all of that energy there, Um and that's okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Da
So
David says, good in energy, we call it out to be heard. Love is the way through to the path the self has made. Not knowing we know was the thing in the way. We are love making a way." Oh, beautiful.
yeah.
Hi,
Thank
David. Thank you for
you.
watching the show.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm also looking at your chart here, and you have that Virgo moon in the 6th house. And let's see, your Virgo moon is at 15 degrees. Okay. Well, I know that sometimes speakers will share a technique with the audience. And we are just entering a new moon in Virgo.
Mhm.
So I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to kind of tune into the moon cycles, because I think that's a really great way for folks, especially who are just starting out learning about astrology,
Mhm.
to I mean, that was my gateway, and I'm a Cancer rising, so that's also my, um, chart ruler. That
Mhm.
means that the moon is very significant for me, but I think it's also just the most, we're all connected to the moon. We can all see the moon in the night sky, and, has such a direct effect on our bodies, on our moods, um, and so one way we can use astrology for radical self acceptance is by understanding where we are in these different cycles in life. And
Mhm.
so, we have the moon cycles every about 28 days. And
Mhm.
um, throughout the phases, there are different qualities of energy. And, you know, part of this. self-acceptance is accepting that we're not always going to be on all the time. We're not always going to be high energy. Um, accepting that sometimes we just need to step back and we need to rest and
Mhm.
recharge. So I think the moon cycles are a really great way for people to start tuning into that
Mm.
kind of self-acceptance.
You're so reminding me. I used to do cycles of the moon work, like, consistently. I did it for probably a year and a half straight one time, where
Yeah.
I did literally ritual with the moon for, like, that whole time period. It was when I was, like, really grounded and living in a home in the woods, and it was
Mhm.
really, like, I wasn't online at all. I didn't have an online presence, so I was really into that kinda magic at that time, and it was really beneficial. Um, and, you mentioned about, like, not being always on or not feeling on, and how many of us have felt that way, like, and wonder why are things not flowing, or why are things not connecting, or what's going on? And I can speak for myself. I've been learning about my human design also a lot, and I'm a projector in human design, so I have to go off invitation. So it's an interesting thing to have a chart that says I need to be in the public spotlight the way I am, but then I also have to go off of invitation, which is really it's a very interesting thing to learn how to navigate that territory. And I'm doing it with grace. I show up consistently. I'm online. I do lives. I promote I have a program I've promoted. And so but it's interesting to navigate that inner territory combined with being a mother and a family and the life curriculum around, partnership that comes forward.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely, this spiritual curriculum that you're speaking of is not always easy. It's always, like, pushing us a little bit just beyond that comfort zone, if not super far beyond the comfort zone. Yeah.
far beyond the comfort zone
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and so then, yeah,
Yeah,
when you do get pushed so far beyond the comfort zone, it is important to have those practices where you can come back and recharge and come back to a place that feels safe. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so that you can then return, as the
Mhm.
energy builds again back to, back to kind of pushing yourself and growing again. But it's not just like a straight line up, it's that
Mhm.
cycle, that spiral.
Mhm. Beautiful to say that and give people permission to see that in their own life, and that it's never a failure. It's just, a reset sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and also just, like, accepting this kind of, like, life, death, rebirth cycle too that's represented in those moon cycles and all of the different planetary cycles that,
Mhm.
even as we continue to grow and accumulate and, cultivate new skills and meet new people, there's also gonna be that phase of releasing and letting go and
Mhm.
making room for grief around that and,
Mhm.
cleansing those emotions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're coming into that season of, like, summer to fall, right? And so that is so a part of the shedding, letting go of, like, the fullness of summer to now we're about to move into harvest and shedding the leaves and eventually winter, deep recharge, renewal, letting go.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and the astrology, really speaks to those seasonal changes as well. It's like and creating
Mhm.
context and meaning for us as we move through the seasons, through the seasons of our lives.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. So, like, what would you tell our viewers as far as, like, if they're really wanting more expansion in their business
Mhm.
and, to use their astrology, is there any pointers there to help people kind of what areas of the chart should one look for or look at to really be guided to know, like me, for instance, you used
Mhm.
me, you talked about my chart, like, everything's in the 10th house. Like, when you look at my chart, like, all of it's focused there. And
Right.
so, but not everybody's chart looks like that. So
Yeah.
what kind of pointers could you give somebody around that? Is that a good question to ask you?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'd really start with the foundation. If you've been following astrology, you might have heard of the big three. And I actually add one more point there, but we'll go through that. So basically, your sun sign, your moon sign, and then your rising sign. And then when we're thinking about business, we also want to add the midheaven point as well. So starting with that foundation, so the sun sign points to your big why. And so that's so important when you're starting your own business or stepping into um, places of leadership because it's scary and you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and you're going to fall flat on your face at times. And if you aren't really grounded and understand what is my big why, what is my really like soul's potential for growth here in this life, then it becomes really easy to just throw in the towel, and give up. Um, and so you can look at where your sun sign is. You can look at it by sign, by element, by house. Um, and those are going to give you clues about, okay, what is my big why? What is my potential here? Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and a lot of people who just know like their sun sign in astrology, sometimes they'll be turned off by it because they're like, well, that doesn't really sound like me necessarily. Um, but the sun is really like the acorn that holds all of your potential for that oak
Mhm.
tree, and so it might not be something that feels natural necessarily right away.
Mhm.
Um, so that's something to explore and like really, really listen into. And it might be something, over time that you're like, okay, yes, my sun sign is really like part of my soul's calling.
Mhm.
And then we have your moon sign, and the moon sign is your emotional body. It's your can also be your physical body. It's your intuition. It's your dream life. It's the ways that you seek comfort. And so it's also like how you create routines and or that's a piece of it. And so yeah, we were talking about, how like when you're pushing yourself way out of your comfort zone, then it's really important to have a place to come back to that feels safe, that you can restore your body. And
Mhm.
so, and your mind and your heart and your soul. So, understanding your moon sign can really give you that permission to say, okay, these are the things that nourish me. These are the things that are going to heal me. So, when I am like at the brink of a breakdown, I can say, you know what? I need to take a step back and feed that moon sign, take care of my moon. Um,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, that's also gonna be, you're gonna look at the sign it's in, as you learn more about astrology or you talk to an astrologer, you'll look at like different relationships that um, has with the other planets. But you can definitely just like start bringing in some of those practices just based on your sign, um, the sign that your moon is in. Um, let's see, where am I going? Sorry, I lost myself there for a minute.
Oh, I think it was so beautiful what you said, just about you leveraging your moon sign as your how to calibrate yourself and how to
Mhm.
regulate your nervous system in a way is what I hear, and I can look at myself, like, I felt very dysregulated recently, and I rearranged my altar. I
Yes.
got back to, like, direct meditation in the morning time, like, I woke up early, I set my alarm, I've woke up every single day sitting in meditation. I've done freeform writing, I've done, uh, higher self writing, so I'm just getting back to the practices. I sat in my sauna, like, I'm just getting back to the practices that I know regulate my nervous system and, because it's, like, not in the mind, and so I'm
Mhm.
I'm really allowing myself to just be with. There's my
Kitty.
kitty.
Yay, kitty cat.
That's Zoe. Hi,
Yes,
baby.
Zoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, sweet girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you have that Virgo moon and it's in the 6th house. So, some of that is just like taking practical steps to clear your space, reorganizing your altar. And then that 6th house is also really about like creating daily routines that support you. Virgo really wants to tend to its health and um, in a practical way. So it sounds
Mhm.
like you're doing that. And also with the writing, it's a Mercury ruled planet or sign rather. And so getting those words out. And like you said, it's not just in your head with the Virgo, like a lot of that is gut wisdom.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So really tuning into the wisdom of your gut can be a great way to support those practices as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks
Yeah.
for affirming what I knew.
Yeah, I know, and yeah, that is also part of, like, the astrology, it's like holding a mirror up and just getting that affirmation. It sounds simple, but it's so powerful.
It
Um,
is so powerful.
yeah, and that
Mhm.
is part of that radical self-acceptance. It's like, "Okay, I
Mhm.
I'm allowing myself to be seen and to be loved as I am, and showing up for myself in a way that, supports that unique mix of energies that is me." Not trying to like, do all the things that other people say I should do. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we move on to the combination of the rising sign and the midheaven sign. So these are so these are not planets, but they are points in the chart. So the rising sign is the easternmost point. Um, the moment you were born. So, it's like the sun where the sun meets the day. And then the midheaven point is the highest point in the sky the sun will be on that day that you were born. Um, so with that rising sign, that's like how you show up to the world. And that's the part of you that people see right away. So, they might not see your sun sign right away necessarily, depending on where you're at in your life and where it is in your chart. But that rising sign is going to be like your most instinctual self. Um, uh, yes, we in one of my astrology classes, we are talking about like this is like how you would show up at the coffee shop. So
Mhm.
like, I'm a Cancer rising, so I'm gonna go to the coffee shop and I'm gonna like oogle all of the babies and like just be like, oh my gosh, there's babies, you know. And then, Aries rising, I don't know, how do you show up to a coffee shop?
I mean, I just enjoy it. I just
Yeah,
go and I'm social. Like I have a very social butterfly. I don't have a
yeah.
problem like connecting with people. Like I walk into a space and I'll find someone to connect with. It just happens organically for me. It's not like I'm searching for it. It just kind of happens.
Mhm.
And I feel like I've gotten over that social shyness that I used to have.
Yeah.
You know? I'm
Yeah.
still finding that edge though with, like, actually revealing, like, like, I'm not one to just get the camera and be in the camera all day showing all the aspects of my life, like, I
Mhm.
haven't gotten there, and I know that social media ask that of us, to
Right.
expand and grow, but
Mhm.
it's still that's still the learning curve for me, I think,
Mm.
is
Mhm.
learning like I am authentic and I do show parts of my life and I do talk deeply about my life like that. There's nothing I hold back in that way. It's just um I don't know. I'm still having a learning around how to integrate social media more into my like
Mm,
daily
mhm.
daily living.
Yeah. 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 With that Aries, like you said, like when you walk in to a room, it's like you just go for it. And that is like that Aries boldness and
It is
courage.
for sure.
Yeah. It's just like that fire and it's such an initiatory energy. So like going in and starting that conversation. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you know, and just the way that you've structured this show too, it's like we don't need to have everything planned out. It's like let's just follow our instincts. And so, as you're growing into that, continuing to spiral through different iterations of that, like, yeah, I would just really lean into like not thinking about it, just like jumping into, if you have an impulse to just follow it, doesn't have
Mhm.
to be planned out.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I like the energy of spontaneity. That feels
Mhm.
really good, you know? And I like the sense of, like, I know the show is here, it's wonderful, we've built the foundation, but it leaves room for spontaneity in the conversation, which is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm,
Yeah, yeah, so then that brings us to, the midheaven as well. So you've got that midheaven in Capricorn. So the midheaven is your beacon. It's where you, can be seen, the most widely seen. It's like your place high on the mountain, um, where you
mhm.
have your megaphone and you can reach people. Yeah, so being that midheaven in Capricorn is like Capricorn really is about creating structures for things, creating space and boundaries around things. So it's like, yes, you have this space, this consistency, this discipline of showing up to this show here, showing up in your business in a consistent way. But then when in any container, you can have different things inside the container. So inside the container, you have more of that Aries, like, let's just be spontaneous. Let's go with it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. That's really
Yeah.
cool to see.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, so with the kind of the 2 together, I think of it, when we're talking about business, we talk about our personal brand probably that's gonna come up, um, and so this is a way for you to really show up authentically. Um, Again, not trying to like fit into what somebody else is doing, but really leaning into how you show up to the world and like how you're meant to connect with people on a larger scale.
Mhm,
Yeah, yeah, and that can also point to like what kind of marketing is really going to be beneficial to grow your
mhm.
business.
Mm, beautiful.
Yeah.
Still really figuring all that out. Like, you just when you think you figured it out, nope, more to figure out.
Right, yeah.
That's how it feels.
Yeah, yeah, and so, yeah, then again, bringing it back to that radical self-acceptance, it's like, yes, there's so much more to figure out, it's gonna go on forever in that way,
Mhm,
but, astrology kinda gives us, like, a perspective of, like, "Okay, well, I've gone through all of these spirals to get here." It's like, "Look at all these things that I've learned," like, I
mhm.
wasn't there a year ago, I
Right.
picked up all these things along the way, and now I'm here, and I've gathered different tools and experiences and information, and I've discerned what I don't need to bring with me, and then you can continue to spiral forward in that way, but just you'll be coming back to the same spot, but as a new person.
Mhm. It
Yeah,
feels that way.
yeah.
Mhm. Such wisdom. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how our audience can find you. Like, what are you most presenting to the world right now?
Yeah. So you can find me on my podcast, which I recently started. It's called 10th House Astrology. And that is something for intuitive healers and spiritual entrepreneurs who are wanting to work with the cosmic energy, with their astrology charts, with different planetary cycles in order to grow their business in a way that feels aligned with their values and feels nourishing to them and
Amazing.
joyful. Yeah. Yeah. So with that, I do two like mini moon ritual workshops that where you can tune in to the new and the full moon and kind of bring that energy into how you're growing your business. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, yeah, and then I also do, just kind of on the off weeks, talk about, whatever is going on in the planets, or just kind of go deeper into some different astrology topics and how that might serve your business, basically.
Cool. Really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, and
Thank you for the
hoping to
insight today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
and I do have one other thing to share,
Yeah,
if
the
that's alright?
discover your sacred blueprint, right? Like,
Yeah, so
tell
just
me about that.
Yeah, so this is a free three-part training. It's called Discover Your Sacred Business Blueprint. So with that, we go through a little bit deeper into some of the stuff we talked about today about how to pick out the different parts of your astrology chart and work with them in a way that aligns with some proven business strategies. So kind of bringing those two pieces together and then working with that in a consistent way, like through the moon cycles, through larger planetary cycles to grow your business.
Wow, really, really fun. It sounds so fun. I wanna come explore it with you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and the first one is actually this afternoon. So if you sign up, you can hop on or catch the replay
Oh,
tomorrow.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. I would love to. Yeah, because it's the new moon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Exciting.
Yeah.
And I know you have 2 ones now, so I'm just so proud of you for being a mom of 2 young ones and, doing business. Like, g give it up for Sarah right now,
Oh, thank
seriously.
you.
Yeah, no, I really want to acknowledge you because that is not an easy, and thank God for your community, right? You have
Yes.
community that is supporting you to
Right.
do this, and that it probably shows up in your birth chart that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're
Yeah.
meant to do this work, and so the universe is orchestrating a way for you to do it and still be a beautiful mom and in service of your 2 young ones, which is
Yeah.
so sweet and wonderful, like, such a sweet place to be,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
and
a special time.
mhm, and I'm just excited to see how this work unfolds for those you serve and, like, helping them kinda dial in, and yeah, I'll come jump into your thing today. I
Yeah.
would love to do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the link to sign up, let's just clarify for our viewers,
Mhm.
would be the first. I posted everything, and just for those that need to know that are watching the show right now live, it's on Facebook and you can see it in the side comments. But it's 10th House Astrology podcast. And then also for our listeners on the radio station, there's Discover Your Sacred Business Blueprint 3-part training. It's https dot forward slash forward slash sarahpowerscoach.com forward slash sacred dash underscore business underscore Virgo SZN 23 dash 1357.
Thank you for reading all that out. I know that's a lot.
Yeah. But how exciting. You have great things you're offering in the world. It's
Oh,
beautiful to
yeah, thank
see.
you, and yeah, congratulations to you to continuing to show up for, your people in this way, and yeah, I just love, supporting other
Yeah.
healers and being supported by other healers and just continuing to grow this community.
Mhm. Ditto, me too. It's like that's what it's about. We all need support. We
Yeah.
all need to unearth like where's the block and how can I best support myself? What's the next steps? And I get it. Like I've had a very challenging life for many, many years of my life and
Mhm,
I'm it's like I long to share like the wisdom I carry of how to get through really difficult things and
mhm.
that's so important to me and so again, that's why we named the show the Self-Love Show, and, like, it just aligned in our life. I wish that Trisha would have been here today because you would have loved meeting her, but you'll have
Yeah.
to come back on the show at some other point, and that way you get to
Yeah.
be with both of us because she's really fun, and
Oh, I'd love
we
that.
love doing this together, and
Oh, that's so
it's
sweet.
it's such a, like, sweet labor of love, and we're just it's got a life of its own, It's
Mhm.
like it's got a soul of its own in a way, and just
Yeah,
as your business has a soul of its own, right?
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time
Yeah.
today and your devotion to the sacred work and your devotion to your young ones.
Yeah, yeah, you too. And thanks
Yeah.
everyone for showing up and being here with us.
Mhm. Yeah, and I just want to thank our viewers for tuning in the last 3 years and giving, all us all an opportunity to do this and share this message. And Again, I just want to promote, like, if you need to go and, there's lots of content over the last 3 years. And if you have anybody struggling with any kind of topic, we have a wide variety of topics to go share out. Stream it out, share it with your friends. Like, that's what this is for, is to give service in that way and get pour love into you so that you can expand your consciousness and really line back up with what God is wanting to share with you in your life right now. And yeah, we just want to thank Love Coach Academy for being our muse. Scott Katamas, we love you, appreciate you. You've been such a guiding light in the self love show. And we personally want to thank our VAs for all the support you give us on the back end. Like, thank you, Roy and Russell, for being there for us in the way you show up for us. We're so grateful. I want to thank my sweet love, Trish Wright, for just being the backbone and helping produce this show with me weekly. It means a lot to me to have her in my life. And I know she's on a plane right now flying, and I just want to send her light because she's just such a one of my best friends. And I'm so grateful for her and her presence in my life, and the opportunity to do this show together is just, it's so meaningful. And so for our viewers, we love you, appreciate you. We hope you get what you need out of the show. And if you feel, reach out to us, like, tell us, hey, I want to hear this topic. If you have a burning question or desire, shout it out on Facebook. Put a message to us and say, hey, you've never done a show on this topic. I would love this. Like, we're so open to that feedback. And, the more likes and shares, subscribes we get, the more message it gets out to everybody else. So we just ask your blessing in that way, and really, show up for, not only yourself, but really think about all the people in the world that could use more love and more understanding around what they're going through. And so we desire to share that with the show and with our viewers. And we want to thank every guest that's ever been on the show, and especially you today, Sarah. Thank you for
Oh,
showing up for us.
yeah, thank you so much. Really
Mhm.
appreciate you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you too. Awesome. Well, I think we are at the end of our show, and we just want to give love and gratitude for those tuning in. And we'll be here again live, same time, same channel, same place, Facebook Live Thursday, um, basically in the morning at 10 o'clock. But then we're all in all on the podcast platforms. So go find us. And I hope you have an amazing week, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.